how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Before I start today's video, I'm going to give a quick disclaimer. I'm going to be talking about ghosts, spirits, supernatural, paranormal experiences of my own. None of them are like I'm not going to do them. There's some that are kind of like extreme, like occurrences, and I'm not going to get into those at this moment, but it's pretty timid. But I just wanted to give that warning because I know some people, well, if you clicked on the video, you know what you signed up for, but some people don't want to listen to stuff like that because it might scare them or they don't want to think about it, so whatever it is. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So basically, I live in a haunted house. I've lived here my whole life. My family's lived here their whole life. It goes back, like, as far as I know, 4 or 5 generations, maybe longer. And yeah, everyone has had experiences in this house. Like, when I say everyone, like, every single family member has had at least a handful of experiences. And yeah, that's kind of verifying the things that I'm gonna say because obviously, like, when you hear someone say, "Oh, I saw a ghost," or tell a ghost story, your first instinct is, "Okay, this guy's full of crap." So take this video how you will. I have no reason to lie about this. I have no reason to fabricate any stories. But like I said, take it how you will. Do what you want with it. But yeah. So I should probably start by just explaining what spirits that we know of that are inside of the house. So for certain, there is a little girl, like a child spirit. I'm not sure on the age. If I had to guess the age, I'd say roughly like 7 to 10, like that age range. And yeah, she wears I can honestly just tell you what she looks like. She has dark hair. I'm not sure if it's black or brown, but it's dark. She's a white girl, little white girl, and she wears a purple and black dress. Yeah, that's just the first spirit that's in the house. The second spirit that we definitely know of is a older man, an elderly man. I'd say 70s to 80s, and he wears an old-time formal suit, just a suit. Like, I don't know how to describe his suit. It's just he's dressed up, and he wears a top hat. It's not like a big top hat, like the top of the hat's like that's all. And yeah, so those are the 2 spirits that we know of for sure. So I guess I'll just start by saying, like, my first paranormal experience that I remember. So, like, the very first one that I remember was I was in the floor I'm on right now. I was living down here as a child, and I ended up moving to a different floor. In fact, I've moved around within the house, but it was like this floor was halfway redone. Like, it wasn't fully furnished, and like it was definitely livable. But, like, it wasn't 100%. And there's 4 rooms in this basement, and in the basement there's it's divided, so there's 2 back rooms, which I don't even like going into to this day because they're very sketchy. And then there's another room that connects to those other 2 rooms through doors, and that's where I was sleeping. And then there's the room I'm in right now, which is like the one that, like, right over here, you can see the staircase that goes up the stairs. So between these 2 rooms, there was no wall separating the 2 rooms, so you could just see into the rooms. And my mom lived in the room that I was living in right now. And yeah, now there's a wall there, so you can't see into the rooms. But before there was no wall, so I must have been 5 or 6 years old, and I didn't like sleeping down here. I was always scared, just because, like, it was a basement, you know. It was a little sketchy. So I'm sleeping there, and this is a minor detail, but I remember I had this Incredible Hulk pillow, and it was a green pillow. It was like an area pillow, like it wasn't like a big pillow, and it had the Incredible Hulk punching through the pillow, and it was like shattered. And like what time of year it was or what time it was, but it was probably like 11, 12 o'clock the latest, because my mom was awake upstairs still. She hadn't been in bed. And so I'm laying in there, and I just like, I couldn't fall asleep, and I was tossing and turning, and, you know, just doing my thing, and all of a sudden I started to have the feeling that, like, listen, if you've ever experienced this feeling, you know what I'm talking about, but I had a feeling that, like, someone was there. Like, I felt someone, like, watching me, like, looking at me. Like, I can't explain it. And throughout the years, I felt that feeling many, many times. So I felt that feeling, and so I was like, I was really scared, so I just buried my head in the pillow and put the cover over my head and all that. And so I finally got up the courage to take the pillow off and the blanket off, and I was laying sideways like this, facing the wall, and then I went like this and turned my body to look into my mom's room. And my room was dark. I had like minimal lighting, but her room was like lit up, like it was like there was a light on and stuff, like you could see into the room. And so like I got goosebumps just saying this. And so I look into the room, and I swear to God, I look into the room, and near her closet, near this closet that I'm talking about right now, literally like in the exact area that I'm actually sitting in right now, like it's very bizarre. Like there was a man standing there, just staring at me, like full on, just staring at me. Didn't say a word, didn't have any expression on it. He just had like a blank expression, like there was nothing specific about it. Man, you know how they say, like, sometimes when you see a ghost, like, if you blink, they'll go away. Oh, that didn't happen this time. Like, he was standing there, and I was like, I couldn't even move. I couldn't say anything. I just sat there, just terrified. And this must have gone on for 5-10 seconds. But it must have felt like a minute. Like, it was crazy. Especially as a kid, your perception of time isn't the best, so it just carried on. And so, I finally got it. I was just staring at it. I couldn't see, like, the color of his eyes or, like, anything like that, but he was just standing there, and so I was like, oh my freaking God. So eventually, after, like, 5-10 seconds, I ripped the blanket off of me. I went like this with my hand to cover my face so I couldn't see him, and I just ran up the stairs as quick as I could, and I started screaming as I ran up the stairs. And my mom and stepdad at the time, that was her boyfriend, they were just dating at the time, they were in my living room, and I ran up the stairs crying and screaming and all that, and I'm like, yo, there's a man downstairs, like, I swear to God, I'm not joking, like, there's a man. Oh, like, wait a minute, sorry. Like, I swear to God, there's a man downstairs right now. And my stepdad was like, oh, okay, you know, just thinking I'm a kid, just saying stuff. But my mom was like, what did he look like? And I was like, I explained what he looked like and everything, and she's like, okay, let's go back downstairs. So we go downstairs, right? And we walk, like, she leads the way, because I'm terrified, and we walk down the stairs, and I end up walking into her bedroom where I saw the man, and I explained the situation, and she was like, she said out loud, she's like, if there's anybody down here, leave my son alone. He doesn't want to see you. He doesn't want to interact with you. He's just a child. Leave him alone. Man, like, even as a kid, I was like, what the heck? Because, like, she knew, like, the situation. She knew it was a credible story, because everyone's experienced things like this. So, for about a week after that, I did not sleep downstairs. I slept in my living room upstairs, but on the couch, just terrified. And eventually, I started sleeping down there again, but it was just like, and I might have had experiences prior to that, but that was definitely the one that, like, registers in my brain I don't know, the way they describe it is like, it was like I was really interacting with something that wasn't there. So yeah, let's stay on the topic of the man. So my stepdad, after he officially moved into the house that we live in with us, he had an experience. So we were redoing the second floor of my house. We were redoing the bathroom at the time, and so my mom and him were sleeping in their bed, and it was in the middle of the night, like late in the middle of the night, like very like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't find out this story till later, because like my family didn't really tell me about the stories of the ghosts or anything like that. They just like, they didn't really talk about it growing up as much, because like, you know, obviously I'm a kid, you don't want to scare a kid, but once I hit like middle school, you know what I mean, like we were very open about like what happens. Like I was always watching scary movies and like scary shows, and like just I've always found the supernatural pretty interesting. So my stepdad woke up in the middle of the night, and at the foot of the bed, like at the end of the bed, the foot of the bed, is that an old-timey term? Did I just break out an old-timey term on y'all? At the foot of the bed on the fortnight of Wednesday, regardless, at the foot of the bed, the same man that I saw as a child was standing at the foot of the bed and looking at my stepdad. And my stepdad, you know, my stepdad had no experiences prior to this. He never had any supernatural experiences to my knowledge in general. He always thought it was a little like, okay, like, yeah, okay, yeah, you guys have ghosts, okay, cool, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like engaged with it or anything like that. I'm so sorry, I forgot to silence my phone. But like, all of a sudden, you know, he's sitting there just looking at this man at the end of his bed, like just out of a dead sleep, woke up and just saw this man standing there, and the man actually interacted with him. The man. So the bathroom is right. This hall that connects the kitchen, the living room, like all the rooms, and the bathroom is right outside of the hall to the right where their bedroom is, and so he turned his head over and looked over toward the direction of the bathroom, looked back at my stepdad, nodded his head like this. My stepdad said he blinked after that, and it was over. Like, this whole experience was only like a couple seconds long. But man, it's just, you know, I don't know if he was necessarily a skeptic, but he said he didn't go back to bed that night. You know, he said he just kind of sat there and pondered what had just happened, and a little hesitant to even tell anybody about it, because, you know, it's like, how do you, I don't know, it's a little weird. Alright, I'll give you guys another story of the man. So, one day after school, I want to say I was in at least 7th or 8th grade, and my school was fairly close to my house, so I was walking back to my house with a couple of my buddies, and nobody was home because it was like 2:35, you know, everybody was working, and my siblings weren't even born yet, and wait, what? Yeah, my older brother must have been born. I just remember nobody was home because there was no cars in the driveway or outside of the house. But we were walking, and it was trash day, like a trash pickup day, so the barrels were already empty, so I was bringing in the barrels with my buddy Jeffrey, and all of a sudden, like, we look up to my porch, and my house is set really far back, like, my house is set back like 40-50 yards from my yard. Like, I have a huge yard, and in the window of the porch, oh, I have 2 porches, one for the first floor, one for the second, and the third floor doesn't have a porch, but for my second floor porch, there's a window, and in the window, we saw a face, like the upper half of a man, and I didn't see it at first. My buddy Jeffrey did it. Jeffrey was like, "Yo, who's that guy?" I was like, "What guy?" He's like, he points to it. He's like, "The guy on the porch window right there." And I was like, lasted too long. Like that's a key factor in all this. So we're looking through the window, and he just kind of shifts out of the frame of the windows and just disappears. So we would just stop bringing in the barrels. We run up my driveway, and I think our initial thought was, yo, someone's inside of your house right now. And I don't know why we did it, but we ran up my driveway and we went to open the door, and the door was locked. Like the front door was locked. So we were like, yo. And so I grabbed my key out of my backpack and I unlocked the door. And we at that point we're like real hesitant. I don't like our adrenaline and macho man status kind of wore off, and we walked into the house up the stairs, and like right where like the stairs are, the porch is right on the side of the stairs. Like there's a door to access it, and so we were like, okay, there's nothing here. So we ended up going through the whole entire house and just looking, and we didn't find any sign of anybody. We checked the other side. We checked the doors, and all the doors were locked. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. That's just kind of like a reassurance that, like, you know what I'm saying. Like, okay, you don't know any of my friends, you don't know, like, you know, but that's a reassurance that, like, okay, like, J-Mo isn't the only one who saw these types of things. Like, J-Mo isn't the only his family saw these things. Like, he has outside sources say they saw these things. Alright, I think that's, again, there's so many stories. I'm just thinking the ones I remember. That's probably it for the old man at the moment. Let's move on to the little girl. And so yeah, like I said, there's a little girl between like 7 and 10, most likely, dark hair, white skin, black and purple dress. And so I'll start off with my experience seeing her. I've only seen her once, personally, but I'll get into the details later. So I was probably in middle school, maybe freshman year of high school. Yeah, I want to say freshman year of high school, and I'm walking home from my school, and I'm with my buddy Joe. So a different buddy than the other guy, my buddy Jeffrey. So we're walking into my house and everything, and yeah, nobody's home or anything. No, wait, hold on a second. I'm trying to, I might have two experiences mixed up here. Yeah, okay, I'm thinking of two different ones. Okay, I'll get to the second one after. So we're walking into my house, and my hall, the hall I was speaking of earlier, where the old man looked into with my stepdad in the same hall. We're walking into the kitchen, and we open the door, and we're standing in the kitchen, and we're just talking and everything, and I'm over at the cabinet getting food and all, and just whatever we're doing, and I look over out of the corner of my eye, and like I see someone standing there, and I'm like, what the hell? So I whip my head around real quick. Sure enough, there's a little girl standing in my hallway, just staring at me, and I'm like, real calmly, I'm like, Joe, like real calm and assertively, I'm like, dude, come here right now. Joe's over at the fridge, so he can't see into the hall, and I'm like, Joe, walk slowly over to me now. And he's like, what? And he thinks I'm like, dude, please just listen to me and come to me. So he comes walking over to me, and as he's walking, he turns his head and sees what I'm looking at, and he just stops in his tracks, and he's like, what? Like, no one says a word. We saw her. She didn't say anything. She wasn't moving. She was just standing there with her arms down by her side. And the lighting was a little sketchy, because like, it was like the curtains must have been closed in the living room or something or whatever, because it wasn't very light. Like, there wasn't a lot of light source. But like, that's why I'm not sure what color her hair was. I just know it was dark, because her hair kind of blended into like the environment. And Joe looks at me, and I'm already backing up. Like, I'm already backing up toward the door, and so he runs to me, girl. My mom since a child, like literally since a kid, has said that she's always heard a little girl laughing and like talking like softly to her or near her, like literally since a child, like since my mom was a child. And once she had my siblings, I have 3 siblings, and once she had my siblings, the activity kind of started ramping up, and she would hear, like every so often, she'll hear the little girl say, "Mommy, hi mommy," like something like that, like just something along those lines. And man, like, it's to the point where it doesn't even like sketch her out anymore, but like, it was like, it's definitely a little eerie, but you know, there's part of me that, listen, if anyone knows about the paranormal, you know that often nefarious entities will present themselves as non-threatening entities, whether it be taken form as a pet or a child, or you know, something along those lines, something that's non-threatening. So part of me has always been like, listen, is this just a ploy or a decoy or a cover-up of something far more nefarious, or is this genuinely like a little girl's spirit? You know what I mean? Because, and again, I know that probably sounds crazy to people who don't believe in the supernatural, but like, it's a valid question I've asked myself, because there's definitely been circumstances where I have felt very uneasy and threatened while inside of my house. I've never had physical harm come to me. I will say I did wake up with scratches on my arm one time very recently, and I could have done it to myself in my sleep, but these scratches were pretty deep, like, and alright, this is just gonna sound like I'm making it up, but there was 3 scratches. It was very sketchy. Let me see if I can find the picture. I'm gonna try to find the picture of the scratches as I talk to you guys. So yeah, oh, I found it. That's crazy. Yeah, because it was in a text to my mom. So that's the picture I took of my arm when I woke up one morning. Yeah, I hope that picked up okay, but, listen, like, I'll make a separate video on, like, the darker side of my paranormal experiences, because I definitely have some, unfortunately, but that's a different video. But part of me is always kind of wondering, you know, like, even as I say this, like, I'm almost sketched out, because, like, I'm always like, yo, are they listening? You know, like, the spirits know I'm talking about them, and if they are what I'm saying they could be, like, is that gonna antagonize them, etc.? But I don't know, it's always been in the back of my mind. Another big example of why I've kind of thought that is, I'll hear voices sometimes. Okay, that sounded bad. I did not mean it like I hear voices in my head or anything like that. Like, one example is a couple years ago, I was in on my second floor of my house, and my grandmother was on the first floor, and I heard my grandmother yell from the stairs, "Josh!" like real loud and real carried out in her voice. And I was like, oh, what the hell? So I run to the door, because like it sounded like it was an emergency, and I'm like, yo, Nana, you okay? No response. So I dart down the stairs, and I run into her house, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's the matter? She's like, why are you so like frantic? I was like, you just screamed my name. And she's like, no, I didn't. And she's in the back of the house, like in her bedroom. And I was like, yeah, you did. And she's like, Josh, I haven't gone out of my bed for the last hour at least. Like, I've just been relaxing. And I was like, what? It was very scary. Like, it was genuinely scary. That was probably, like, out of the things I've seen and experienced, that was probably one of the scariest things that's ever happened. Because ghosts don't have the ability to just simply mimic human voices like that, you know, traditionally. I don't even think poltergeists have that ability. I'm not speculating anything, I find it very weird. And I knew it was my grandmother's voice. Like, some people be like, oh, you probably just misheard. Like, so, no, like, this was my grandmother's voice and she said my name. So it was just very bizarre. Another weird event that kind of happened to me was, I know I'm jumping all over the place here. It's just, in high school, like maybe like junior or senior year of high school, I was taking a shower and I was running late to school. And everybody had gone to work already, and my siblings were already in school and everything, like on their way. So I was home alone, and I was in the shower, and I was just taking like a quick shower, and all of a sudden I heard footsteps outside the door, like loud footsteps. Like if you're in the shower and you hear footsteps, like those gotta be some loud footsteps. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, what the fuck? And so I didn't think much. I blew it off. Then all of a sudden the doorknob started turning, and it wasn't just like, it was like it was freaking shaking, man, like viciously. I rip over the shower curtain, and the doorknob is literally just going nuts, dude. Like I can hear it, I can see it. I'm like, so I'm just like, I shut the shower off. I hop out of the shower, just butt naked, dripping water everywhere, and I'm just standing there, kind of like mesmerized by this door. Man, it was, as soon as it started, it stopped type thing, and as soon as it stopped, I ripped open the door. Nothing there, obviously, but man, it was actually pretty scary. Because, you know, like, I've had things move, I've had things fall, I've had things make noises, but the fact that it was so vicious and, like, so, like, powerful, like, it genuinely shook me. I was like, okay, I don't like that at all. I'm trying to think of some other good ones here. If you guys want a part 2, let me know. I can try to make a list of things as I remember them for a part 2 of experiences. Oh, this was a random one. This doesn't involve, like, it does involve spirits, but not like a human ghost. So I used to be really good friends with my next door neighbor, and I was over his house, and we were in his yard, and we were just hanging out. I don't know what we were doing, probably playing baseball or something, or like wrestling or whatever. But this was as a kid. And I look up, for some reason I just looked over at my house, and all the windows for all the floors were displayed, and I look out to the I think it was the second, yeah, it was the second floor, cause it was second floor. I look up to the second floor, and in the window, and that would have been my kitchen window, I saw a cat sitting on the windowsill. Like a full cat. That's not weird or anything, right? The weird part is my cat had passed away. The cat that my stepdad had passed away a year or two prior. Yeah, it's just, so there was a cat that couldn't be accounted for, and I was standing there, I was like, that's really weird. And it didn't, my grandmother had a cat, but my grandmother's cat stays in her house all the time, and this cat was a different color than my grandmother's cat. My grandmother's cat was like light gray and white, and this cat was like dark. Like it was like, it literally looked like a resemblance of what my stepdad's cat had looked like. It was very, very weird. I didn't really investigate it past that, because like I just kind of knew like it was a spirit. Like I didn't, like, I don't know, I kind of let it be, I guess, and I just carried on with my day, but it always kind of stuck with me. Let's see, what else? What else can we talk about? What other stories do we have here? Okay, I'll wrap it up on this one. This one wasn't like a one-time occurrence. This was a consistent occurring event that would happen. I had a viciously barking. Like, it would be like to the point where like it would wake people up, and I never had any explanation for it. It was very bizarre. Once I brought him, the only way that I'd be able to make him stop would be to get him out of the room, that sounds bad, but like I'd have to get him out of my room when he would do it, because like, one, it was kind of scary because he was so like, I don't know what he was seeing or feeling or sensing, but again, that's another reason I've always thought about, okay, I wonder if there's something not so pleasant here, like something with not such good intentions in this house. Yeah, you know, my grandmother always made, my Nana always makes like a joke, kind of like, oh, this family is bad luck, this family's cursed or whatnot, and like, I'm always like, oh, you're just crazy, but part of me's always been like, what if like it's not a curse, what if we're not bad luck, what if there's something kind of lingering around, causing circumstances, I guess. Just some food for thought. Anyways, I think I'm gonna call it there for this one, guys. Yeah, you know, I hope you enjoyed the little story session there. Like I said, if you want a part 2, I could definitely make a part 2, and I'll think of more, and I'll ask my family about more experiences they've had. Again, I'm not asking you to believe anything I said or anything like that. Do with it what you will, but I have no reason to fabricate or lie about any of this stuff. And it's not just me saying these things. I'll close on this. I actually had 2 psychic mediums come to my house on a few occasions. One we hired. Her name is Sandy Ailman. She's very credible. And then the second one is a family friend's mother, who is, I know her son. And she's also a medium, and she's friends with my mom and stepdad. And she comes over sometimes just to hang out at parties and whatnot. And she ended up telling us that the little girl was a girl who lived on this street. She didn't live in this house, but she lived on this street, and she got hit by a car in front of our house, like a while ago, like very many years ago type thing. And then what's even weirder is we already knew that information, because the lady Sandy Hellman, we asked her about it one time, and she was like, yeah, like this was a little girl, and she ended up dying. Like, she died up front, like outside of your house. She didn't say she got hit by a car, but she said she ended up dying in front of our house. So it's kind of like, take that how you will, you know. Whether you believe in psychics or not, it's like, it's whatever. But yeah, we had 2 different experts on the matter on 2 separate occasions without talking to each other and knowing each other, kind of tell us the same explanation. So it's always been like, okay. And the other weird thing is, both of them have never had an explanation for the old man. Like, they don't know anything about him. They just know he's very sad. Like, he's a sad old man. Like, which, I don't know. One of the psychics actually told us that the old man had temporarily followed her home one time, and she just had weird stuff happening. Like, nothing bad, but it was just like, some weird stuff happened. Again, take that how you will. I'm not here to push any ideas on anybody or anything. I'm just here to share my experiences. With that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope I scared you